Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a story that operates on several levels simultaneously, and depending on which level you pay attention to, it is either a fascinating piece of industry news, a deeply personal creative confession, or one of the most compelling pieces of evidence yet that Jungkook's influence on the music world extends far beyond what most casual observers have ever fully appreciated. The story begins with a producer. A very specific producer with a very specific history and a very specific relationship to what excellence in music sounds like. His name is Ryan Jhun. And what he said about Jungkook, publicly, on record, without any particular promotional incentive to do so, is the kind of thing that makes you stop what you are doing, put down whatever you are holding, and actually pay attention. Let us start by establishing who Ryan Jhun is, because his name might not be immediately familiar to everyone watching this, and understanding the weight of what he said requires understanding who he is and what his word actually means in the context of the Korean music industry. Ryan Jhun is a South Korean songwriter and record producer who got his start through acts from SM Entertainment including SHINee, Super Junior, F.X, T-ON, EXO, NCT, and TVXQ. He has since produced for IU, Twice, Mix, Ivy, Oh My Girl, and many others, and was awarded Best Songwriter at the 2023 Melon Music Awards. Read that list again slowly. SHINee, EXO, Red Velvet, IU, Twice, Eve. These are not minor credits. These are some of the most critically acclaimed and commercially successful acts in the entire history of Korean popular music. The songs Ryan Jhun has written and produced are not just hits, they are genre-defining moments, career-launching tracks, and in some cases, songs that have become so permanently embedded in the cultural fabric of K-pop that they are referenced as standards against which other work is measured. Ryan Jhun has been a K-pop architect for over a decade, with his touch found in many modern classics including SHINee's View, EXO's Love Me Right, Red Velvet's Dum Dum, SHINee's Lucifer, and many others. Lucifer, Dum Dum, Love Me Right. These are not just popular songs. These are songs that define eras. Songs that changed what K-pop could sound like. Songs that people who do not follow Korean music still recognize as markers of a particular moment in music history when something genuinely new and genuinely exciting was happening. And Ryan Jhun's name is on all of them. He is one of the architects of the sound that the world eventually came to understand as K-pop at its most ambitious and most refined. This is the man who said he got goosebumps when he heard "Standing Next to You." This is the man who called Jungkook the definition of the word cool. And this is the man who publicly revealed that he has already been writing songs on his own while imagining Jungkook singing them and that his dream is to collaborate with Jungkook in the future. Let us sit with the Goosebumps moment first, because it is genuinely worth examining in detail. Standing Next to You was released on November 3, 2023, as the third single from Jungkook's debut studio album Golden. It reached the top 10 in Lithuania, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Latvia, Japan, Malaysia, Peru, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, and the United States, and in the United Kingdom it became Jungkook's fourth consecutive top 10 entry on the UK singles chart. These are extraordinary commercial achievements for a solo single from a Korean artist, achievements that speak to a level of global reach and genuine cross-cultural appeal that very few artists in any genre can claim. But commercial performance, while impressive, is not what made Ryan Jhun get goosebumps. You do not get goosebumps from a chart position. You get goosebumps from a performance. From a vocal delivery that reaches somewhere inside you and touches something that you did not know was accessible through sound alone. And that is exactly what Jungkook's vocal performance on Standing Next to You does to people who hear it with open ears and honest attention. The song is a deliberately retro-influenced pop production, drawing on the lineage of funk, disco, and classic R&B in a way that places enormous demands on the performer, because that kind of music does not forgive technical inadequacy. You cannot hide behind production in a song like that. The groove either lives in your voice and your body or it does not. The expressiveness either comes through or it does not. The sense of genuine inhabitation of an artist who is not just performing a song but living inside it either lands or it does not. And in Jungkook's hands, it lands completely. Jungkook's Standing Next to You surpassed 1.4 billion streams on Spotify, making him one of the global music powerhouses with more than 1.4 billion streaming songs on the platform for both Standing Next to You and 1.4 billion streams on a single song. That number is not the product of fandom loyalty alone. No fanbase, however devoted and organized, can generate that kind of sustained listening activity without the music itself doing the work. That number is the result of a song that people who had never heard of BTS, who had no particular investment in Jungkook's success, who encountered it on a playlist or through a recommendation or by accident, found so compelling that they kept coming back to it. And at the center of all of that is a vocal performance that clearly got to Ryan Jhun the same way it got to the 1.5 billion people who streamed it. When a producer of Ryan Jhun's caliber says he got goosebumps hearing a song, he is not speaking casually. He is not making a polite comment about a colleague's work. He is saying something specific and technical about the quality of what he heard, something that he has the professional vocabulary and the trained ear to assess with precision. Goosebumps in music are what happen when the emotional content of a performance exceeds what the intellectual understanding of it can contain. When the voice does something that bypasses all the analytical machinery in your brain and goes straight to the physiological response that music can trigger when it is functioning at its highest level. Ryan Jhun has heard thousands of performances. He has worked with some of the most technically gifted vocal artists in Korean music history. He is not someone whose goosebumps response is easily triggered. And Jungkook triggered it. But Ryan Jhun did not stop at the goosebumps. He did not just say the song was good and leave it there. He went further. He called Jungkook the definition of cool, and then, in what is perhaps the most remarkable part of the whole story, he revealed something that goes beyond professional admiration into something that feels genuinely personal. He said that he has already been writing songs on his own while imagining Jungkook singing them. He has been sitting in his studio, one of the most respected creative environments in Korean music, and writing music with a specific voice in his head. Not a generic voice. Not a composite of what a great vocalist sounds like. Jungkook's voice specifically. The voice with the specific quality that gave him goosebumps. The voice that belongs to the person he has named as the artist he most wants to collaborate with. Think about what that confession reveals. Ryan Jhun writes music for the most successful acts in K-pop. His professional life is a constant stream of collaboration requests, project briefs, label relationships, commercial considerations, and the practical demands of being one of the most in-demand producers in his field. And in the middle of all of that, he is writing songs that nobody has asked for, that have no confirmed home yet, that exist only because he heard a voice and felt compelled to create something worthy of it. That is not professional calculation. That is creative inspiration. That is what happens when an artist encounters another artist whose work genuinely moves them and they feel the pull to respond to it in kind. Ryan Jhun has spoken publicly about his philosophy of collaboration, saying that he works with over 200 people in his teams and believes in the value of manufacturing something amazing through collaborative effort. He has described K-pop as a genre that combines both Korean and US sentiments, and has emphasized the importance of keeping authenticity and originality while embracing new sounds. That philosophy, of finding the space where different creative worlds meet and produce something that neither could have produced alone, is exactly what makes the prospect of a Jungkook and Ryan Jhun collaboration so compelling. Because Jungkook himself is an artist who has always operated at that intersection. His solo work under the Golden Album and beyond has consistently explored the relationship between Korean artistic identity and the global musical vocabulary, finding ways to inhabit American funk, R&B, and pop with a specificity and a genuineness that goes beyond pastiche and becomes something with its own distinct voice. The songs that Ryan Jhun has already written with Jungkook's voice in mind would, if they ever reached their intended destination, be a meeting of two creative intelligences that have been independently arriving at similar conclusions about what music can do and what it is for. Ryan Jhun's best work, from Lucifer to Dum Dum to the more recent productions that have cemented his status as one of K-pop's most consistent and most visionary architects, has always had a quality of reaching beyond the expected. Of finding the production choice or the melodic direction or the structural surprise that makes a good song into a great one and a great song into a classic. And Jungkook, as a vocalist and increasingly as a creative contributor and songwriter, has demonstrated the same instinct. His best performances are never the safe choice. They are the brave choice, the decision to go somewhere emotionally or technically that lesser artists would not attempt, and to make it look not just possible but inevitable. The timing of Ryan Jhun's public statement about Jungkook is worth considering in the context of where Jungkook is right now in his career. The BTS comeback with Arirang has positioned him not just as a member returning from military service but as an artist who came back with more to offer than when he left. In 2026, Jungkook's brand collaborations with Hublot, Chanel Beauty, and Calvin Klein are defining how pop culture intersects with luxury living, with his partnerships highlighting how global icons navigate the worlds of style, grooming, and high-end accessories. The breadth of those brand relationships, Swiss watchmaking, French fragrance, American fashion, tells you something important about how the world sees Jungkook at this stage of his career. Not as a K-pop idol who has crossed over into mainstream visibility, but as a genuinely global cultural figure whose appeal is not confined to any single demographic or market. And that is the profile of an artist who could do justice to the songs that Jhun is writing in his studio while imagining who will sing them. For ARMY, this story is another chapter in a very long book that they have been reading with increasing intensity since the day Jungkook debuted as a teenager in 2013. The book is about an artist growing into his gifts, not in a linear, predictable way, but in the way that genuinely extraordinary people grow, which is unpredictably, in sudden leaps, with periods of consolidation followed by moments of revelation where you realize that what you thought was the ceiling was actually just another floor. The fanbase has watched Jungkook go from a shy, enormously talented teenager to a solo artist with multiple billion-stream songs, to a creative contributor whose writing credits span genres and collaborators from all over the world, to the kind of performer whose voice makes seasoned industry professionals admit publicly that they are writing songs specifically for him. But for people outside the fandom, for the musicians and producers and creative professionals who encounter Jungkook's work through channels that have nothing to do with the K-pop industry, what Jhun's statement represents is something different. It is a professional assessment from a peer. A producer who has no particular stake in Jungkook's success, who is not part of the BTS promotional apparatus, who has built his entire career on the ability to recognize and respond to genuine musical talent, is saying publicly that Jungkook's voice has moved him to create. That is the kind of validation that does not come from chart positions or streaming numbers or brand deals. It comes from one creative person encountering another and feeling the specific charge that only genuine artistic quality can generate. And Jhun, with his history of turning the charge into songs that define careers and eras and cultural moments, sitting in his studio writing music with Jungkook's voice in his imagination, that is not just a nice story. That is a signal. A signal about where Jungkook is in his artistic trajectory, about the kind of collaborators he is attracting, about the quality of what he is building with every performance and every release and every moment where he opens his mouth and gives the best of himself to whoever is listening. The songs are waiting. They exist already, in some form, in whatever notation or recording Jhun uses to capture the musical ideas that come to him while he is imagining a specific voice delivering them. They have not been heard yet. They have no release date, no confirmed partnership, no official announcement attached to them. They exist purely as the product of one creative mind responding to another with the only language it knows, music. And somewhere, Jungkook is living his life, making his own music, preparing for the world tour that is about to take him to stadiums on multiple continents, probably completely unaware that one of K-pop's most important architects has already written something for him and is waiting for the right moment to make the dream of that collaboration real. That is the story. A producer heard a song and got goosebumps. He called the singer the definition of cool. He went home and started writing. And now, in an interview, he has told the world about it, about the voice that moved him and the songs that inspired and the collaboration he is hoping for. And whether or not those songs ever reach their destination, whether or not the collaboration ever happens, the fact that it almost certainly will happen, because these things have a way of finding their way to completion when both parties are this talented and this genuinely moved by each other's work, means that there is music coming that nobody has heard yet. And it was born from a moment when a man pressed play on Standing Next to You and felt something in his chest that made him want to create. That is what music is supposed to do. And that is exactly what Jungkook keeps doing to people, even when he has no idea he is doing it. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment below telling me what song by Jhun is your favorite and which one you think Jungkook's voice would absolutely transform, because I would genuinely love to know. Subscribe if you have not already and we will see you in the next one.